Okay, good. Okay. Call the meeting to order. Everyone has received a copy of the minutes. This is sort of a makeshift copy, I apologize, but it's correct. So I'll take a minute to look at it, please. Has everyone had a chance to look them over?
Mm-hmm.
Okay, have a motion, is there a motion to accept the minutes?
I'll make a motion to accept the minutes as written.
Is there a second?
One second.
Okay, all in favor, signify by aye.
Aye.
Raise your hand. Opposed, nay. Okay, that passed. Rescue 1 and 3, the report?
Everything's going good with 1, and we are okay with 3 as well, so.
Okay,
Mr. Chairman, if I may, can I skip over the middle part there? The meeting dates, December 17th, meeting date conflicts with an existing meeting date, so y'all need to pick a
yes,
3, 8, 9, or 16th.
yes, thank you for reminding me. Normally, we don't meet during the months of July and December,
Okay.
so if we continue with that process, there won't be a conflict.
All right, so I think the December,
There was one set we need to vote.
Right.
So you need to vote to cancel that meeting since it
Right.
was already set.
That's
Okay.
fine. So, Commissioners, is it, somebody want to make a motion to just cancel the December meeting?
I'll make a motion we cancel the December meeting and pick up business in January of 2021.
Okay. Second? Okay. All in favor? Signify by aye.
Aye.
All opposed? Okay, that passed. Region 2, Tammy?
Rescue 2 is doing well covering calls. We've increased our call volume a little bit in the last couple of months. The board has been working on some SOGs for the department that coincide with the county SOGs, as well as department aspects that we've been looking at. Not heard anything from Rescue 6. I did request information and haven't heard anything.
Okay. Okay, Region 3, Michael is not here tonight. I asked him if he had anything to report. Rescue 5 is doing fine. We're losing a few more members than we would like, but we also have a few more on track to get on board. And as far as Rescue 4 is concerned, Tater mentioned to me that they're making progress. He's going to have ID data sheets to me at the next meeting to get ID cards made for those members. Okay. And Region 4, Eric?
Couple of things. Our Rescue 22, the membership is steady at the moment. There are a couple topics that came up. We had talked about potentially purchasing a new vehicle, and we shelved that idea. So we're just going to continue with the truck that the county has given us. Also, then there was a question about helping out Kiwi Ebenezer in the box call system. And everybody was amenable to whatever is decided by that particular committee. You know, it seemed like we thought that we were expanding our district, but it really, part of Kiwi Ebenezer is in the Rescue 22 district, like down to High Falls. So everybody was saying, sure, that's a great idea, anything we can do. And that's all I have to report.
Okay, thank you. And with 7 and 8, it seems that things have calmed down just a little bit from the hot and heavy summer. So we're using that time to get a new truck ready and special rescue and pick up on training. This weekend is our training for both squads, plus there's a boat class going on for Swiftwater, right? Okay. Okay. Scott Fry's report.
Commission chairman report first.
Pardon me?
The commission chairman report first.
Okay,
If we're going by the agenda,
yeah.
we can vote to amend the agenda if you'd like.
From the last meeting, we talked about forming a radio communications committee. And we have had some people that want to serve on that. Specifically, Brian Sheriff volunteered to serve. And if anyone doesn't know, he's the new chief of Rescue 1. So I sent out an email to the commission members. I didn't get any response for anyone who would like to serve on the Radio Communications Committee or additional people to serve on the Future Plans Committee. I'll send that out again. Scott, do we want to make a date for that committee, those committees to meet? And
So I did discuss that committee with Travis, who does communications, and he is amenable to do that. So we just need to do some dates for that.
Okay.
But, you know, I'm hoping to bring in, that committee needs to be countywide, not just rescue.
Right.
So we would like representation on both sides, because we are one agency, and everything that one side does affects the other. So we want to make sure that everyone's inclusive on that. So we will try to get some at least initial representation from that. And if we can get some dates from the group that you choose,
Okay.
we can definitely put that together.
well, Fire is having a meeting Monday night,
Correct.
so I can bring it up at that meeting,
Sure.
get some help on that.
Okay.
You know.
Have we decided like on a number for the number of committee members or any members?
Well,
who want to-
Only two
Just
only two
Only two
commissioners.
from us.
Correct.
Yeah.
Two, and then we had wanted, you know, at least three, to spread it around a little bit for the work and any of that kind of stuff of people, others involved, to get a good broad idea of what issues are, you know, different technologies, that kind of stuff as it
Okay.
goes through. One of the things discussed, but there's not a limit. You know, we haven't said, you know, this is what it is.
Yeah.
Do you suggest that we get members of Fire to be on the Future Plans Committee? Or is that more specific to Fire by itself and Rescue by itself? communications, I can see affects.
Communication does both specifically. I envisioned that plans of how for the squads to tell us, the squads to tell us how that we could support them better. At the same time, if the fire commission chooses to do that, they would have something to tell us how we could support the fire service better or as we move forward.
Okay, good. When we, a number of years ago, decided to approve fire departments and other rescue squads, fire departments becoming rescue squads, one of the things that we talked about was that that would be good for the county, but we felt that they would have to meet the same training requirements that the rescue squads met. And through all my investigating, I don't think that's being done across the board. So I would like to suggest that we form a committee to look into that, and hopefully come up with some proposals to make some SOGs for the county. And I would like to ask Ms. Wilbanks to head that committee, if she would like to, if she would do that.
I don't mind, I just would need to know what direction we need to take for that. And are they expected, if they're going to continue running medical calls, is it appropriate for us to ask them to be trained on the same, not necessarily maybe the same level, but that they do have the training necessary to respond to those calls?
So, I mean, yes, they have to have the training appropriate to respond to those calls. We do need to set some policy and some ideas. They are a fire department running medical calls. They are not a fire department. Originally, they were gonna be a squad also. They're a fire department running medical calls, not a fire department as a rescue squad.
Right.
And that's the difference. So we do need to look at what is required, because, I mean, that is, in the medical field, you have to be trained to treat someone. And so we just need to have that group and get together with a group of squad people and fire departments to make that to where it's across the board that this is what is accepted as the requirement. Using standards that are out there, you know, we're not the only people that have ever run into this, so standards that are out there for what is required.
Okay.
And I'm not picking on fire departments specifically, but rescue squads need to meet those same requirements, of course.
Correct.
Okay. Michael asked me to bring this up, and that communications with dispatch, understanding or not understanding units transmitting to them is quite inconsistent. Ever since he told me about it, I've been listening up more. And there certainly have been numerous times when a unit in the field says something to dispatch, which is repeated nice and clear, but dispatch comes back and says, I can't copy, it's all static. So if there's something wrong, we need to fix it. If that's just what the dispatcher is saying because he's overworked and busy, but that's not what he's saying. It certainly does not hurt to say, would you repeat, please? And if dispatch uses feedback frequently, when someone says something to them, they repeat what they heard, which is extremely helpful. And it cuts down on miscommunications. But it's not something that's done consistently, and maybe that would help. Also, there was a night, Michael said it was on September 17th, where Channel 1 was keyed up all night.
Yeah, I actually, the next day I did speak to Travis and we had it looked at. I actually spoke to Chief Skelton also, Fabian, about that. We had talked to him too, and we were looking at some of those issues. If we could step back one, the committee for looking into the training SOGs and requirements needs to have a motion and then a vote from the commission to form the committee, and then the appointment of Tammy would be to that once
Sure,
it's formed.
Sure. Okay, do I have somebody make a motion to form this committee to look into training requirements?
Make a motion.
A second?
I'll second it.
Okay. All in agreement? Raise, say aye. Aye.
Aye.
Opposed? None opposed? That's passed. And would someone make a motion to?
Actually, I believe the chairman appoints it after the lead after that, or no?
Just go ahead, let's just go ahead and make it a motion.
Okay.
About our-
Yeah,
Fair enough.
that's a safe way of covering. Would someone make a motion to appoint Ms. Wilbanks as to serve on that committee?
I'll make a motion that Tammy is the big kahuna for the committee.
You'll love that.
She'll love it.
I second
Thank you.
it.
All in agreement?
Aye.
Opposed? Nay? Okay. All right, Scott, I think we're ready with you.
Okay, first thing is we are, from your report, sir, we are looking at the radios and those kind of things, and thank you for bringing it up. We'll look at it again, as we go through on both accounts for that. Responder physicals, the first, my agenda is, and we're getting more constantly. If responders, if you could tell each one of your different squads, if they've had a physical with North Greenville, come to our office, they can get that paperwork and actually have it to go to their doctor. Okay, there's an envelope with all that data in it for them, and it's sealed. We will be bringing it around to get it, we don't need to house that in our office, it's personal data to those if needed, but we would like for them to come by the office and pick it up if at all possible during business hours, and then we'll try to arrange other methods if needed for those physicals. But it is very important to get physicals as we are starting to push towards the time where we're gonna tie your ID to physicals, number one. And if you don't have a physical, you're not supposed to be running calls. If you failed a physical, you're not supposed to be running calls. So we need a physical to at least put you in one of the classifications that we presently have, to make sure we know the qualifications that the doctor says you're supposed to be doing, so that we meet the standard for safety of our responders and the public. That's not just for us, because it's bad enough if we get hurt on a scene. It's bad if something happens to us and we hurt someone else and create it worse. So we want to make sure we protect ourselves and the public by getting a physical that we're providing. And we've given plenty of opportunities through basically 2 vendors now, so you can choose to do it through Upstate Medical and through North Greenville through those different times as it is. So please, let's please emphasize that. It is paramount that people get their physicals.
When was that date? Was it October 1st or 15th, that deadline?
The 31st is the
Okay.
incentive deadline, and the physicals we will start, everyone will have had more than a year, out of date by that point if they haven't gotten a physical.
October 31st.
Yes, for incentive physicals. Again, the responder IDs, we're still working with that program. Going to that, presently, we are using the new ones as IDs. you don't get one without a valid physical, and we're working through that. We did have to change, because of COVID, some of the physical requirements, and that is you have to have a spirometer test. And so we will start correcting that across the board. Yes, we have people that took it this year that did not get that because it wasn't corrected and we didn't, get all that fixed in time. But we're not gonna hold people back with, just for that. So next year, you'll see that change when you get your physical next year. As we move forward with that, and not go back for that one piece. We're gonna continue to move forward, as we do that, because, people are giving up their time. We wanna make sure we try to do our best to make it, available and the right thing for them as we do that. We've had a bunch of questions on responder ride time, and we think it is good. We are actually looking at ways for our staff to do ride time so that we can better their knowledge of, number one, what's on the ambulance. Number two, kind of get an actual experience, a little more experience of on-scene call and that with an ambulance. So please, we'll be working, Carol will be working with the hospital and working through a system to make sure that responders will be allowed to do that too. They're gonna need to be ID'd. Again, without an ID, you're not gonna be able to do that program. And then we're gonna ask that they be appropriately dressed also, and that's just the requirements for ride time. I mean, just like any class, they have to meet those standards. So we're gonna be building that program to try to better our responders. And a lot of them, as they come out of class, they just need some of that time to feel more comfortable to do a better job for our citizens. So we're gonna be building that program, as Mike, the EMS director, and all the medical stuff that goes through, Mike is heading up for the department. Rescue squad affiliation status, we've seen a good bit of that. And with that, the quarterly rosters that are gonna come in, we're gonna use that for affiliation to see who is and who isn't. So you're gonna, once the quarter ends, you'll see that for that piece. As you submit that for the squads, that has been a requirement. We're gonna use that to cross-reference the affiliation, and you'll see an email from us that says, hey, we need to try to get these people affiliated. And in return, if they're affiliated and they're no longer on a roster, we need to clean up our roster. So that quarterly report paperwork is important. It was mentioned last month, and their NERS is that roster. So it is a fillable roster, and we're going to put it into a big Excel for many reasons, as I talked about last quarter, as it goes through. So
Could Mike send out to each squad a list of who is affiliated in his records?
yes, that's easy to do.
Thank you, appreciate it.
Okay, it was requested, we are looking at the box alarms to make sure they're correct for the cardiac arrest response and nearest fire department, squad 21, closest 21. We're working through that, and it's, I wish it was really simple, and I'm learning that program. We've been doing some changes to that and looking at that process. And at the same time, we're working with Zerker, which is the CAD program, to do the GPS program that we were looking at to be able to send the closest staffed unit. So with that said, the closest staffed unit, that's still working. We're working with a huge company that we have to work this program into to be able to do this demo that I've been trying to get up off the ground. Been working with Travis on that. And so hopefully that will help us in that process. In doing so, in all those discussions, we have a lot of work to do when it comes to sending the right apparatus and the right rescue squad. Example, we found a spot where we need to physically change the box alarm map. which I didn't realize was as depth as it is. Lisa's, it's really fast, but then that has to go to the company to put in the CAD system and everything. So we are working through those, which will help us better the fire department and the 21 staff response as we go through it. But as you look at those with all the different departments that we have, there's anywhere from 4 to 9 different boxes per department, some of which we're adding from 4, we're going to 5, we're going to 6 in another one, to try to send the right units. And that it's a great system that we do, but it's not fast because we're dealing with a map that we have to get loaded. And then when it gets loaded, we can actually do some changes. So with the 22 situation that you brought up, for that, once that map is loaded, they can actually start dispatching off of that map. But until that, it doesn't pop up for dispatchers to know what.
I have a
Which
question
one is that?
on that, on his request. If their members hear that 11 has a call and might need help,
Go.
can they self-dispatch?
They can make, if they're gonna be helpful and no one's answering.
Right.
11 is a very, very busy department,
Okay.
and Rescue 4, we're trying to rebuild, so, please, if you're in the area, please respond. And
Super.
And, it's about the citizen, and this, again, I've said it before, they want help, and they don't care if it's what color, if it's red, blue, or green that is coming to them. They want help, and so if you're available, please respond to that.
I know they have a few people in the present EMR class,
4 does, yes.
but they still have very few people.
I'm hoping for the wonderful success of Rescue 4 in Rescue 2 and Rescue 4, hopefully can bank on that. Incentives. Had a lot of questions about incentives, how that's gonna be done this year. And, basically, we are looking at, it's been a year of COVID. We've had a lot of trainings canceled. We have a lot of other things going on. And so this year incentive, the proposal is that we will only require a physical and a valid CPR, which is actually good for 2 years. So most people may not have even had to have a CPR this year. If you don't have one, that gives you a month to get a CPR card, which you should have already had if you're out of date. You should have already had it a long time ago, unless you happen to run out this month or something. So there's no question that people that are doing what they're supposed to, we've had the physical requirement for years, and our CPR requirement for years, that you would get the incentive. Again, due to COVID and some other issues, duplication of calls and those, that we're not gonna list the training or the call volume into the system this year. It will be a flat rate across the board, and the physical and the CPR is the only, governing piece, and basically on a roster, on that roster, a valid roster for the year to receive that. And I solicit comment on that. Everyone that I have talked to, has not had a problem with that significantly because of all the different things. The people that may be sick but still helped us do things, or that didn't run medical calls because of COVID, because of their, their ability, and some of them did training but didn't run calls. And so how do you make that, you penalize them because they were protecting their life, and we don't want to, we're trying not to do that. So that is the incentive, physical, and CPR for incentive. Comments?
Do you hope to use up all the available funds and divide it by, 3 350 or however members we have in the county? Is that what you're?
No, it will probably be set it back to $5.99
Oh,
as the max for just those two things. That is what was, on the process.
good.
Epi and Narcan training update. Again, we're starting that training so people can get those out to get ordered for departments and those kind of things. For the Epi, we're coming out of that season, but in South Carolina, pretty much a warm day and bees come out and people can get stung. So it can be January and sometimes we have issues. So it's always needed. So we encourage your departments to come through with that. We've had some questions on, if a squad buys it, if you buy it and you want that advancement, right now, the money to buy that is not in our budget. So it comes out of the squads. Presently, as that goes through, there is not a budgeted line item for Epi and Narcan, and they are. Narcan is not that expensive, but the Epi is significantly expensive, as the people that actually have to carry it themselves find out. Even with insurance, it's hundreds of dollars. So that is an expensive endeavor. I think it's good for the citizens.
Is there any replacement from the hospital on that?
No, because they do not do auto injectors, and that's the problem. We have pushed this program out so that EMRs can actually give Epi. So an emergency medical responder can give Epi. Our other program, which is still active, if we give an EMT, draws it up using a vial and gives it, they actually the hospital will replace that, because that's what they stock. And then that is very inexpensive. The difference is we have very few EMTs, we have a lot of EMRs, and without doing it that way, we would be eliminating a lot of people that would maybe first and maybe be able to make a difference and save a life. It's one of the things in the big scheme of things for the squads, getting their members, that Epi is big, to make sure they're available for that.
Mike, do you have any idea of how many EMTs we have? I remember Ryan said once we have about 45, counting staff.
Presently, we have about 70,
Oh, good.
but that's gonna, with the roster being, when we go through this roster and verify some people, nobody's coming off, because there was a lot, 3 or 4 at Rescue 1, that'll be coming off, who are no longer members.
Right.
Rescue 4, some of the other departments that had them, that Corin Shiloh, some people like that who are no longer affiliated.
So up to a possible 70.
Yes.
Is that what you're saying?
Just on EMT.
Right. Okay, good.
All right. For the record, this is the funding policy for the squads and the fire departments for emergency services that was pushed out 5/16/19 already. So we actually went through this and actually went through legal and everything to make sure that it met all our standards of finance and everything as it goes through. So this was done by the commissions before me, and then started. So what I did is, again, make sure that we push this through, not just as a commission, as the commission advised it to us. We took it and made sure effectively to go through in this. What you will see is there's no signature on it or anything that we go through. We have the minutes where that everyone said it was. But I wanted to get it out to everyone so that they could look through it and see it in a format that is actually, this is what it ended up when we went through and actually went through all the legal side of it and said the ifs and those and that's and those kind of things. And you'll see the red note that specifically says we need a couple other things with it, because it's referenced in here that we still have work to do to make this exactly what it needs to be. And that it was kind of never finished in its entirety in a formal setting. So this is where we're at. I'll be working with the chairman, Stu Zahn, for some of the other stuff that I know he's already worked on and those kind of things, that we can actually attach it to this and go forward for this policy. The main reason for this is transparency. Council is very adamant about being transparent about the funds and how we operate and use county money. And it is county money that is being used, the money that is given to the fire and rescue squads. And so we want to make sure that there is no question that we are using the taxpayers' money appropriately. And so a lot of this is about documentation and how you do things and document it so that we stay above and beyond. Because unfortunately, we don't want someone to accidentally make a mistake and do something they're not supposed to, or actually go down a road that actually someone gets in trouble later on, that we can do that. And so being transparent and having a policy, helps us all be on the same page as it moves forward. So I wanted to make sure you had a copy of it in your hands, and we can get that out so that you can talk to your squads about their requirements as we move forward in doing reporting, getting the quarterly reports that we require to get the money to actually be the money to be handed out. So with the financial policy, when we actually do our quarterly reports, and you've all, every one of you seen this. This is an ERS. This is not, this is not new per se, but just we've all filled those out. You've gotten quarterly reports for a long time, but wanted to make sure we're all together. And you'll see that, as we get out through that, we're just making sure that we have a few things for that. And then to go with that quarterly report is, here's how. We've always told you, you had to produce a financial statement. This is just helping us tell the squads and the fire departments how we want that statement to look, so that we are comparing apples to apples and making sure that someone doesn't accidentally make a mistake. So that is my report for today.
I have a question on the last item. I assume that
Okay.
that there's going to be some date in the future where the rescue squads and the fire departments have to switch over to the new way of reporting financial?
Yes, I want to make sure that we are complete, and this was officially already put in place, but not really distributed and that kind of stuff. So I'm trying to make sure people are aware that there is some discussion, and we can make sure that, I'm fallible. First one to say, I'm not perfect in this, and I'm using the information. I didn't build this. I know Steve was part of it. Bo was a big part of this from the fire commission and to put it together, but I physically, and wanted to make sure that you have an opportunity, and then we can maybe correct some of these, the red here, get those two things we're talking about in there done, that we can actually make sure all the pieces are there. I don't like to go, here, do this, but then you don't have all the stuff to do the job that you need to do. So you can start looking at it, seeing what you're supposed to do, following the guidelines, and getting an idea of what that kind of looks like, and sharing it with your personnel as we go forward.
I've been reporting Rescue 7, 8, and 5 for, I guess, a year and a half now, using this new method.
Okay.
And it really is easy. It really is. And it puts everything so clearly. And if anyone would like any help with it, or if they want to see what the report, a real report looks like, I'll be happy to share. Our financial reports are not secret, that's for sure. And we're still finding little glitches in the software. And just last week, we were speaking with Bo and his wife about a little correction here and there. So I guess that's going to go on for a while. And the more people that use it, the more we may find additional glitches.
So this is, this chart of accounts, this is something our treasurer can speak with you with?
Yeah, absolutely.
So do I have your permission to ultimately give our treasurer your name and number?
Absolutely, for sure, for
Okay.
sure.
Because she had commented before about it, but I'm not really up to speed on it. She does a great job with reports, but
And like I said, that's the piece in red, that chart of accounts.
Yeah.
We want to make sure that that is correct, and we have an actual document with that we can produce as we go out. So it is a written piece. It's in writing, Steve and I have talked about it, just that we can make sure is the whole process together to make sure that we can arrange it.
We took this whole chart of accounts,
Yeah.
which has a number assigned to each type of expense, and made a shortcut for it. So most of the things that you'll use are on a shortcut, so you don't even have to go through the 4-page chart of account looking for the item. And there are times when I find something that's not really spelled out the way it needs to be. You know, maybe fire doesn't have that type of expense, but rescue does. So again, there's, glitches here and there. It's not perfect yet. I know Bo is gonna always be available by telephone, but we have an IT department that should be easy for them.
We can start working through stuff.
I do have a question, but it's me, a part of Rescue 3. The action program, does it allow for you to do the refresher for the EMR?
So how that works is you'll take the action and then you have to come in and do the skills, because all new testing requires a skill demonstration for recertification, and you can get with Brady on the exact step by step, but that takes away the majority of the class. And actually it takes away the majority of the class for EMTs also, because it is CAPC certified, so it automatically loads into your national EMT program also.
But we
So-
can do the action to get that recertification, our refresher.
Yeah, talk to Brady on the exact but that is one of the processes to do that, yes. And then it allows people to do most of it on their own time, and then when they complete it before the date of the practicals, they may have to wait. If they don't complete it before the date of the practicals, they may have to wait till the next scheduled practical time.
Yeah.
But, yes,
Part of
once
it-
they do that.
Part of it that's not really spelled out well, and we've been talking about it, is that the idea was to tell all of your members that for next month's meeting, we're gonna be doing chapter so-and-so. So then they can do everything they have to do on action, and then come in at the next meeting and do the skills.
Okay.
So that, needs
That
to
would
be,
be really good if we could do it that way as well.
yeah, absolutely.
So-
Absolutely.
I don't disagree with that as we move forward and get that. I think Brady, that's training. I'm one of those people I'm not gonna delve into exactly how it is, because that's his job. And he is best at it. But what I'll say is, we're willing to work with it, but because we're using a standardized program in how to get your certified card, they have some regulations on who does the checkoff. So you can still come in and practice the skills at your training night, which
Yes.
I would recommend everyone do. You still will have to produce in front of
I didn't mean to take the place of.
oh, okay, yes,
I just-
yes,
you know,
correct.
If you studied it well,
You studied
come
it,
in,
come in and do the
make sure
practicals,
everyone understands it the same way.
repetition aids
But the
learning.
skills at the end are definitely.
Exactly,
Yeah.
exactly.
Yep.
Yeah.
Correct.
Okay.
Well, Rescue 5 just signed up all of our active members, and it wasn't that expensive,
Right?
and it's very complete. And
We're fixing to. We was fixing to do all of us. We was just waiting to find out
Yes.
if it would if it would really benefit.
But get the
rescue.
timeline from Brady.
Okay.
Yep.
Scott, I had one question about the ride time. If I remember, we did ride time right after we finished our EMR training. Is that something that you're gonna consider making like a requirement, like a yearly thing to spend? Or is it just something that members can do at their leisure?
I don't think we're reaching out to say you have to. We've had a bunch of requests for people that want to.
Okay,
And so we want the ability to do that with them. people that want to feel more comfortable when there's a paramedic standing right there,
Yeah.
to help train and,
Good.
you know, as a EMT, a paramedic, I had to do a lot of ride time.
Yeah.
And so it, you know, a lot of times that just ingrains that, what you learn in class. So we want to make sure that the ability is there. It's not a requirement.
We used to have that as a requirement after the EMR class.
Right.
And I can see that being quite helpful because it helps to even more get the person involved with hands-on stuff. Their ability to ask the professional, really how you do this and that. But you're thinking about not making that a requirement anymore?
Well, it's not a requirement presently, and some of that issue is the ride time is for COVID.
Right.
Is not there. And so, you know, that leads into all of this. We just want we want to build that process so that when we get back and people want to, and we have the ability to, we have it. Where we used to, Prisma came in, it changed all the rules, we have to kind of do a new process, and so we need to build that process.
Good. Okay. Any more, Scott?
That is the last thing I have on the agenda.
Okay. Well, if someone would like to make a motion,
I'll make a motion.
adjourn, any second?
I will second it.
Okay, you would pass the book, All right.